You're listening to Honestly Aging by Friends Life Care VigR, a podcast where we explore what it's like getting older, the peaks, the valleys, and everything in between. In this season of Honestly Aging by Friends Life Care VigR, we're covering topics related to solo aging. I'm your host, Cheryl Proska. Let's grow old together. On today's episode, I'm joined by Carol Bilek, who is a Chi walking instructor, retired teacher, and Friends Life Care member. Carol, welcome and thank you for being here. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, Carol, you are joining me today to talk about Chi walking and educate our listeners about the practice should they wish to try it out themselves. So, let's get started. What is Chi walking?
Chi walking is a practice. It is much like Tai Chi or yoga or meditation. It's a gradual progress. Chi walking is a healthy and fitness activity. And it takes walking and combines walking with the principles of Tai Chi. We all learned when we were very young how to walk correctly. And over time, we've learned how to walk incorrectly. So as people age and they're walking, they often don't walk as much. Walking becomes painful. We all have, in aging, you all have some sorts of aches and pains that are going to come up. In Chi walking, you learn how to, in Tai Chi, one works with the body and with nature. So in Chi walking, when you work with these things, you become a much more efficient walker and you are able to have injury prevention, which is huge for people. I'll be 75 in September. It's huge for people in this category. So that is, it gives you an opportunity to go out and you can use Chi walking anywhere. I always Chi walk. I Chi walk in my house. I Chi walk anywhere. And I have a particular regimen where I go out and I Chi walk in the morning. So it's a meditation and a fitness walk.
Is there anything more that you want to say about how Chi walking differs from traditional walking and other forms of mindful movement like Tai Chi or yoga, as you mentioned?
Mm-hmm. Well, Chi walking would be in a category with meditation and yoga and Tai Chi. It does differ from traditional walking. In traditional walking, think of your body as having pendulums. And the science of the pendulum is the longer the pendulum, the slower you go. So in traditional walking, your arms are hanging. There's a lot of body movement. And your legs are stiffer. As they move out, there's a stiffness. And that stiffness will, if you have any plantar fasciitis, heel problems, knee problems, that's going to send right up your leg. You're going to get some bad feelings about those things. So in Chi walking, we minimize that. In Chi walking, the legs are not the propellers. The propellers are the core. As in Tai Chi, the core or the center of your energy, if you take your thumbs and place them in your navel and make a heart, and then take your index finger and push in, imaginary about 2 to 3 inches towards the spine, that's where your center of energy is. All right. And in Tai Chi, your energy is like water flowing through a hose. What we're aiming for in the practice is to have that water flowing nicely all through the body, right? What happens in our traditional walking is we get kinks in the hose, so our energy does not flow correctly. So this is really one of the biggest differences. As you're walking traditionally, you're going forward, and so you're braking every time you take a step. So you're not working with nature, you're working against gravity. In Tai Chi, we're using our alignment to work with gravity, and we're using our direction to work with gravity. So we want all our body parts going in the same direction. All right. And so we're cooperating with the forces. If you watch any of the Tai Chi martial arts movies, and there are two guys or two women attacking each other, the person who's being attacked does not come and punch the other person. The person who's being attacked simply moves back and goes with the force of energy that's coming at them. And that's a lot of what happens in Chi walking. When I'm working, my body is working with gravity. And because I'm working from my center of energy, instead of my leg muscles, which are smaller, can have more injury. There's a lot of impact injuries, overuse injuries. My legs, when I'm Chi walking, are more like going along for the ride. And gravity, when I'm in my alignment, gravity is taking me forward. So instead of striking my feet are simply peeling and lifting, and going forward. And my stride stays the same. You figure out your natural stride, and your natural stride is typically shorter than your walking stride that you use now. So you have the same stride. Therefore, I can walk slowly in my house using Chi walking. I can do casual Chi walking, but we all know if we want to get the benefits of walking that we want to be able to walk faster. So you can have that same stride, but what changes is the number of steps per minute. So you can walk at many different, you can walk slowly, you can walk faster, you can walk medium, okay? And the beauty of it is, since your body is not doing as much work, you learn to be more consistent with your walking. You can walk farther. So you go out and you get, for me, I live in the borough of Westchester, so I get up to the university and I go, oh, I'm not ready to stop yet. I can continue on, and I can go into the university parking lot. And by the time I get home, I'm not tired. I've always been a walker. When I walked before, I'd come back and I wouldn't have any energy left. I'd be tired. Or if you watch walkers or runners even, they're always looking at their watches to see when their time is
I'm
up.
one of those runners. How much more time do I have to do
How much
this?
longer do I have? With Chi walking, you're using your body and you're also working with nature. And so you don't have that. You can have that, I guess, but you don't have that. You just are going, and you can actually feel more energized and relaxed when you get back. Now it's a gradual progress. Everybody's progress is individual. It's not exceptionally hard, just as you can go to a yoga class or a Tai Chi class, and the very first class you get benefit. And then the teacher says you want to continue to learn, because then you'll get more benefits. So you can take Chi walking on a trail. You can take Chi walking upstairs and downstairs. You can take Chi walking up hills and down hills. So there are little tweaks that you can make for all of these things. So basically, it's a very accessible form of getting exercise And all you need is a nice pair of shoes. And you even learn, because it involves body sensing. So your mind and your body become one. After a while, you think, let me think about my feet. And you learn more about your feet. Let me think about what kind of shoes I'm wearing. Can I find out more about feet? And yes, there's a lot of information about feet and about shoes. And there's one person I particularly love. He's out in Portland now. So you learn a lot about that. And I learned what I put on my feet, and how so there's so much more, and it feels good. It feels very good, and you're
How did
healthy.
how
You're
did you
healthy.
discover chi walking?
My husband and I were taking Tai Chi classes 20 years ago, and the instructor, Mitch Goldfarb, one of the students in our class, she fell down.
Mm.
She fell off a curb, which happens a lot to people. They fall off the curb, her face was all, and he said, look, I'm going to show you a couple of techniques that the Chinese who follow Tai Chi practices, how they use them. So he showed us one or two techniques. And my body I have what is called a sacralized spine. So I don't have that nice curve that most of you have, that lumbar curve. I'm straighter. And so that impacts me. Now, when I grew up poor in Queens. And so if the babies came out with 5 fingers and 5 toes, they sent them home and they said, that's great, go ahead. Nowadays, if I were having a child now, I'd take my child off to a pediatric chiropractor and get them adjusted. So there are lots of things that we know now that we might have done differently. So all my life, I've been somewhat knock-kneed. And it's probably because of the spine, which I just found out about a couple of years ago, the spine. And that's probably caused me to be somewhat knock-kneed, which is then, by the time I was 55, caused me to have terrible knee pains. And the doctor said, well, come back when you can't stand that terrible pain, and we'll replace your knees. And I thought, well, there must be something between that and that. So I started to think back to those techniques Mitch had taught us, and I went looking, and I found Danny Dreyer and his wife Catherine had taken Tai Chi and walking and put them together in a method.
Hmm.
And so I started to explore that method. And over time, I began to use Chi walking and became more naturally, because it is a natural way of walking, naturally using Chi walking. And then a few years back, I had an ankle injury. And then a couple of years after that, this car hit me. And so I thought my walking days were over. But I remembered I knew Chi walking. And as soon as I worked with a chiropractor. I've worked on some other things over time. I started again with the Chi walking, and I'm back. I'm back to going out every day. I've spent lots of times now in this good weather. I go out twice a day to walk, and it's not a painful process. It's something that's very enjoyable. And it's something that even if you haven't walked in a while, or if you've had injuries, a lot of people who have osteoarthritis in the knees are learning they can go out and walk. Now, they may start out slowly, but then over time, you can use a metronome for different speeds.
Mhm.
Over time, you increase a couple of steps at a time. And as I said, your stride stays the same. It's your cadence, the number of steps you take. And because you are not having that impact with the ground, but you and the ground are working together, you're cooperating with that force, you don't have that stress on your knees. Now, there was a study that was done at Boston University. There are many studies done on walking, many, many studies. So we know that walking's beneficial, right? We know that you get muscle strength, you get endurance, you can have weight loss. Lots of people say to me, oh, I'm about 20 pounds overweight. Well, guess what? Once they get into the Chi walking process and they're out there walking, they come back and they go, hey, I'm down about 5 pounds. I did some healthy lifestyle changes and I'm doing this and boy, I feel really good. You're breathing better because you've better alignment. Okay. Walking improves your mood. It boosts your immunity. If you come from a family like mine, where there's a number of people have had diabetes, you want to do anything you can to lower your chances of getting it. Walking helps prevent these things. It improves your chances of not suffering from heart disease and diabetes. All right. Now, what does Chi walking do? Well, we've already talked about it makes you a more efficient walker. So if you're more efficient and you're not using the energy, you're going to, over time, be walking further and you're going to be feeling good about it. You're engaging with nature. So you go out and I was out this morning. It was raining. It wasn't pouring. It was raining. I just put on a little jacket. I have these different get-ups to wear for the different kinds of weather. And I go out and you sense different things. You smell things, you see things, you hear things. So it really puts you in contact with nature. It keeps you safe. That lady who fell down the curb, when you're using your Chi walking techniques, because you're not coming down on your heel and then striking down, and then how are you going to fall? You're going to fall right on your face. You can use your Chi walking techniques as you get to a curve. You peel up, there's the curve, you come down gently, and you move forward. So you are not as afraid of things. A lot of people have osteoporosis. They're always looking down. I've worked with women for years now. They're always looking down. When they look down, this whole area is closed off. So your breathing is closed off. When people are using their canes or their walkers, they're down. And there's a fear. There's a fear of movement because you're afraid you're going to fall down. And if you fall down, you're going to ruin your hip. You're going to break you're going to have a knee injury. Something's going to happen. As you learn Chi walking, you feel safer.
How did you come to then eventually teach Chi walking?
Well, I've always been a teacher. I grew up in that poor neighborhood in Queens and in the Catholic school system. And from a very early age, the nuns decided I would be a tutor. So they had me tutor kids in the summertime. Then I went on, and almost every path that I've taken in my life has involved teaching. I started out teaching in Queens in the Catholic schools because you could just basically walk in and get in, and I had to support myself at a very early age. So I was a teacher then. I came to Pennsylvania. I started to teach in special education. The teaching in any of the areas in the country, and in some now still, very little payment. So you'd get like $500 a year, $500 a year. And we wanted to have a house. So Ron continued in education, and I started to branch out. I worked down at the Child Guidance Clinic. I worked at another program in Philadelphia. And then I was also given a position in advertising where I went around and taught all the people how to cooperate and work together. Once I retired from my last big gig in education was at the Lower Merion School Districts. I was a special education teacher for 26 years. Once I left that, I decided I wanted to do something. I had pelvic organ prolapse, which was diagnosed about the same time. And I thought, okay, that's an end, not a beginning. But it wasn't. It was really just a change. So I learned about how to educate women through a program called the Whole Woman Program. Christine Kent, who was out in Albuquerque, and I worked with her for a number of years. And because she wasn't a teacher, she had me help teach her classes. So again, I was teaching. And we would go out and we would teach at her yearly conferences. So I worked with that. Around the time of the pandemic, any of that work kind of dried up. We didn't want to see people in person. They didn't want to see me in person. I have a husband who's a transplant survivor. So that kind of went away. So I started again to look at my chi walking, and I said, I'm really not finished yet with doing things. What could I do that would have balance in my life? I wouldn't have to do it 9 to 5 every day. I'd have some control. And I looked at all these people. I live in a big community, and I looked at all these people who were struggling with walking. You could sit in the pharmacy waiting to get one of your booster shots, and you see the people coming in, and just to get from the door to the counter is a struggle for them. And you think, well, it's not so much a struggle for me anymore. And I have things that bother me. Maybe I can use that as another teaching mode. Maybe I can become a teacher and teach people how to walk better, how to feel better, how to be healthier. Not to live forever, but how to be healthier in living now and feel better about living now. So I contacted the chi walking people. I didn't want to become a chi runner. I've never been a runner, and I had those ridiculous knock-knee legs. So I decided I would they accepted me into their program. It's a rather rigorous program. And so about a year ago, I got my certification in November 23. I completed my program and became a certified chi walking instructor, which was, again, helpful to me, and it's helpful to other people because there was a lot I still needed to learn about chi walking. And what I found out is there really isn't anybody in this area. There are instructors, walking and running instructors all over the world, but we do not have them in this area. So I thought, this is good. I will do this. I will get out and teach people how to walk.
Would you prefer to age independently in your own home or live in a nursing facility? I know what I'd rather do. Friends Life Care membership offers just that. Plan today for a future lived at home with vitality, independence, growth, and resilience while protecting your savings. Learn about your options at a free seminar or webinar. Register at friendslifecare.org/register or call 215-628-8964. So you've touched on the health benefits and the mental wellness benefits that come from chi walking. Let's say we have some listeners who are feeling inspired. They want to get out there. They want to give chi walking a try for themselves. Could you explain some basic techniques as our listeners could take to start chi walking today or later this week?
Okay. They could get in touch with me. I teach private lessons as well as do group workshops. And I am listed on the chiliving.com site under instructors. They could do what I did, which was find out more information about this. And I'm a visual auditory person, so I wanted to see things. So if you simply Google Danny Dreyer and Catherine Dreyer, you can find a lot of videos to take a look at and to see what traditional walking looks like. It's like braking as you go down the street, and chi walking looks like. That alone inspired me to learn how to do these techniques. And if you need anything else, it would be, look, if your knees are bothering you over time, your knees might feel better. I go out and my knees don't bother me all day long, so that's what I would do. I found it good to have someone show you, demonstrate for you, because there is, if you take your hands, Cheryl, and you cross them and you see where your thumbs lie, there's a natural position for your thumbs. If you take your hands and you put your thumbs in the other direction, it feels somewhat different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have with traditional walking, which you've always done, and chi walking. And a lot of people are put off then and don't want to put in the effort, which is really not a tremendous amount of effort to get started. Okay. It's going to take your alignment, which is your core, your structural column. Okay. And it's going to take cooperating with nature. Those are the two things, two types of alignment, learning how to use them to your benefit.
And we are
And
going.
practice.
Mm. And just so our listeners know, Carol is going to allow us to record her chi walking. So at the end of the episode, if you're listening, she's going to be going over verbally how some of the steps and practices she puts in place. And if you're watching us on video, you can stay tuned to the end and we'll have a recording of Carol actually doing her chi walking. So I'm also wondering, do you have any like personal anecdotes or success stories from those who you've taught, some of your students?
Well, my certification was last November, so I'm getting known out in the community. I worked with a whole woman colleague, and she's rather fit and 70, but she was terribly afraid of walking now because she has osteoporosis.
Hmm.
And she said, look, why don't I, she drives around places a lot. Why don't I come by? She was in New Jersey at the time, and you can teach me. And she got it quickly and she started to use it. And as she was walking, she found out that she said, I always wondered on the bottom of my toes, I always get calluses. And I realize, because now I remember that body sense, paying attention to your body. She said, I realize I've been walking on my toes. So she found a great deal of difference with the chi walking. And also, she wasn't looking down so much anymore. You can look out about 10 feet. You can get yourself a nice flat terrain, look out about 10 feet, get to a place, get another focus, get to another place, and so she began walking more and getting more benefits from that. My husband was very ill the last couple of years. We're not sure why. It could be related to COVID or not. We had gone off to Australia to do some whole woman work. And when we came back, he began to have health issues. And he needed something to motivate him. And what motivates my husband is planning some adventure.
Hmm.
So he was in OT, and I said, look, why don't you plan something that we can do? And if we can't do it, we'll be able to cancel it. So he came down the next day and he said, how about a cruise to the Hawaiian Islands and the Polynesia Islands on a Viking cruise? And I said, okay, sure, we'll do that.
How about
he said,
it?
it's over a month, and I'm thinking doctor's appointments and all this. I said, sure, okay, if that motivates you, and you could cancel right up until the end if we needed to. So we're on this ship for over 30 days on the Pacific Ocean, and ships move, and there are lots of numbers of older people on the ship, and they're wobbling back and forth. A few of them fell down. You could see the boots appear on them because they had good medical assistance there. And people would say to me, you're not falling. You're not even weaving. You're going, and it was the chi walking because it improves your balance. It improves your mobility. So I never had any issues on a ship where other people were, having a hard time getting their balance. And then most recently, I had a woman named Pat. She's local in this area, and she's always been a walker. And she was getting nervous now. She's 72, and every few days her knees would really hurt her. And so she was afraid that was going to continue. And instead of every few days, it would become every day. So she saw, there was an article done on me in a news blog, Hello Westchester. She saw that, and she was able to track me down. And we realized that she's always walked with very rigid knees. A
Mm.
lot of people do that. They really have very rigid knees. And after about 40 minutes of work, she said, wow, this really feels good. And she's been practicing and she's going to continue. So if you give yourself the time and you give it a try, you can really reap a lot of benefits. And so chi walking then becomes, or chi running, if you wish to become a runner. And there are many people, are not me, but there are many other people who have always said, gee, I wish I could be a runner. This is a perfect segue into learning chi running and becoming a runner.
Well, I'm wondering, so you get ready to go out and do
Yes.
a chi walk.
Mhm.
What are you saying in your mind? What are you saying to your body? And how does it really transpire into your walking so that you can start reaping the health and mental wellness benefits?
Well, first of all, when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is take a couple of deep breaths and say, geez, I'm really glad I'm here.
Mhm.
And then I say, basically, unless it's icy outside, I'll get out and do a walk. So I get myself ready. I might do what we call body looseners. You don't want to do stretching before your activities. That's, as I understand it, more harmful, but you can do these body looseners. So I will go out and do one or two of those. It takes a couple of minutes, get outside, and I go, okay, I'll start at the bottom, start with my feet and my knees, go to the top, hold my head up through the back of the head, slight tuck of the chin, my shoulders are relaxed. Then I go to the middle. I engage my core. So if I sit like this, my core is not engaged. When I sit like this, my core is engaged. It's the same when I'm standing. I can stand like this, or I can stand like this. And then I take a deep breath. I might start moving my feet. I turn on my metronome and I think about my dantian, my center of energy. I want that to move a little forward. So I have a slight tilt to my column, not to my shoulders, to my column. And I go. And there I am going up the street. And that's all there is to it.
And it
Now,
is go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking about how I like to do yoga. And it is a practice where sometimes I find myself having to remember lift my body up, work from
Mhm,
my core, and
mhm,
that is what it's about. So it
mhm.
sounds like as you are chi walking, it's not as if you flip a switch one day and all of a sudden you're chi walking all the time. Sometimes you are going to fall back into old habits, and it's that
Correct,
remembering and
correct.
reminding yourself to take that beat.
So I might get back and feel tension in my shoulders. A lot of runners feel tension in their shoulders,
Mhm.
and they don't realize that they're doing this. They're pulling up. So when you're chi walking or when you're chi running, you can take a focus and say, today I'm going to be working on making sure that I'm not pulling my hitting my toes down. When you're chi walking, you kind of peel up. It's like peeling a pancake off the floor with a spatula. Peel up, and then the front just base falls down. You're never coming that far off the ground. So you come up and come down. So you're really working with the forefront and the mid front of the foot, depending on whether you're going up a hill, down a hill.
Mm.
So you can work on one focus at a time. And if you go out and you're doing this, just going out is a benefit. That's a benefit right there. And then the more you work on your focuses, the more benefits you get.
What benefits have you seen or you've been able to realize from incorporating chi
For
walking?
me,
Mhm.
just about any of the doctors I go to, say, that's incredible. Your blood pressure is incredible.
Hmm.
Your pulse rate is incredible. We wish other 75-year-olds, which I'll be in a couple of months, uh, had this, right? Uh, my balance is much better. My endurance is much better.
Hmm.
Uh, what else? I really haven't gotten sick. I've not had COVID. I do take precautions. I don't,
Hmm.
go out in crowds of 500 or 1,000 people. But I do believe that breathing better uh, and using these techniques has really improved my health. It makes you feel better. And when you feel better, when you have a better mood, you're going to be less stressful, right? And there are other things to do too. I mean, I've learned a lot about Ayurvedic techniques and Chinese medicine techniques and meditation techniques. And so you start to put that together. So you have your body is in a much more de-stressed. So you're able to deal with other people when you see them. And you're not going to get or you're less likely to, I wouldn't say you would never, but you're less likely to be irritated by little things that happen
Hmm.
because you're breathing better, you're feeling better, and you go, okay, I'll deal with that person with compassion and non-reaction. All of these things really fit in together. This is a huge chunk for me right now.
And it sounds you've talked about being able to chi walk in your house, around your neighborhood, on a cruise ship. It sounds very adaptable to different environments. What's your favorite place to do your chi walking?
Right now, what I do is I live in an urban area. So there's lots of traffic.
Hmm.
Uh, Lots of college kids, brick sidewalks. So there's lots of obstacles. But I walk on a one-way path. So I see the cars and I just move myself over. I get up to the university. I kind of walk all around the parking lot. And been able to, because there are different paths in the parking lot, I've been able to extend them until I can get all the way to the end. And there's a hill, I can go up the hill. Now I'm going to, over the summer, start to do more walking around Westchester in the afternoons and going up more hills and down more hills. It lends itself beautifully to the many parks we have in Chester County. So it's fairly simple. We have one East Goshen Park. To find a park with I suggest to people to use a flat terrain
Hmm.
when they're walking until they get more used to what they're doing. And then they find that you can really tackle, but you can feel really good going up a hill and going down a hill, which is hard for some people to imagine. But again, that's as you progress along your path. So you can really do it in any path. It, it helps you avoid obstacles. I live in a busy house. My son lives here. He has friends that come here. So you never know where something's going to be.
Yeah.
So once your feet and you're used to your feet and chi walking and you know where they're going, you're really less likely, I have a big dog, to have impact with any of those things. So it's just as the backyard. You're less likely to fall into a ditch. You really have it. Just is it's just a much more comfortable sense. It's a less restrictive way to go about life.
And it sounds to me like it's given you some purpose with being able to set personal goals for yourself. You want to go a little bit further. You want to
Yes.
try a little bit more of a challenging terrain, as well as to be able to goal set for others and
Yes.
continue your profession or your calling more so of teaching. So, what
Well, when you see me doing my chi walking down the street and you see 10 older senior citizens following along behind me, you'll know that I've gotten enough word out there.
and that's what we're trying to do. Yes. And I can't imagine it's only for older adults.
No, it's actually for any age.
Mm,
If you look at young children, I don't know how young your children are, maybe 1 to 4, they naturally walk in a chi walking style. So it is a correct and conscious way of walking. Uh, any of my university pals up there who are walking with their cell phones or walking plugged into music, it would really benefit them to learn how to do chi walking. It's really great for runners like yourself who run into an injury
mm.
and they can't run the way they were running, but they also don't want to stop being active. Chi walking is a great technique to use when you're rehabilitating from an injury. Uh, it's a great technique for runners. I understand that there are runners who run 10, 20 miles and then they need to take a break.
Mhm.
It's a great technique to put in on your break day. So yes, anyone and everyone can learn how to do chi walking. If you have less mobility at any age, you can learn how to chi walk with walking sticks. So it really is, it's out there for everybody.
So,
It's
Carol,
just it's just word of mouth so that, you know, it once people hear about it and they start to look into it, then they begin to get an understanding. Otherwise, it's like for me, being the only one in this area, uh, I have people saying, "What is this?" I was at a health fair recently. "What is this chai stuff?" I know how to walk. Why do I have to learn how to walk? Uh, most recently, last week, a fellow said, "Look, I was in the military. This is how I walk." But then he came back and he came back, and this week he's coming for a half an hour free lesson to learn some chi walking techniques.
So I would love for this podcast to help get you to your goal of your 10 chi walkers, either from our members or our friends who are listening. You briefly mentioned people could look you up, but could you say the website to find you again so that hopefully we can get to 10 chi walkers with you?
I do not have a website, but it's easy enough to find me at my email address,
Mhm.
which is whole, WHOLE, woman, PA, Carol at Verizon.net. Or my landline is my office line, 610-431-3266. Or my cell, which is 610-724-7218. Or go to chiliving.com. I'm listed under the instructors, and there's a way to contact me through that site. It also gives you a sense of what's going on, and it leads you to understand that chi walking and chi running become chi living.
Mm.
You're washing the dishes, you think, oh, I need to pull up. You're sitting at the laptop and go, oh, I don't want to be sitting like this. I want to be sitting like this. What can I do? Put some books under it, put a stand under it. It just
Mhm.
raises your whole level of consciousness. So we like to say that chi walkers move into chi living.
And I will link all of that information below for anyone who wants to get in touch with Carol. And I just want to give you the opportunity if you have any final advice for someone who's considering starting or trying chi walking.
As I have been aging, there are days when I feel time has not gone by, and I feel that I have not changed. On other days, I go out and I feel I'm older.
Mm.
I'll have a couple of kids, not that often, pass by saying, "Can I help you get those bags in the house?" And I'm thinking, who are they talking to? Well, they're talking to me because I'm an older person. My feelings for myself, and I hope they go out to other people, are be who you are. And you're in there, and time doesn't necessarily have to have a lot to do with that. Be who you are and do things. And this is an activity for me, and I think for others, that helps you be more connected to yourself and to others.
Lovely. Thank you so much for our chat today and helping myself and all of our listeners learn about chi walking. And I look forward to meeting with you in the next couple weeks to record you chi walking. So we have a really fantastic example so people can take a look at that too.
All right. As you do in yoga, thank you very much.
Hello, Honestly Aging by Friends Life Care podcast listeners. As you can see today, I'm in a different location. I, as promised, am with Carol Bilek, who is a chi walking instructor. And today we're outside, so don't mind any nature sounds that you might have, so that I can get a chi walking tutorial and you all can as well. So, Carol, what do we need to know about the basic techniques behind chi walking?
It's important that you understand that you do know how to walk. And that's what people say to me, why do I need to walk a different way? Chi walking is a combination of Tai Chi techniques and walking techniques. Largely, you're going to be using your mind and connecting it with your body. And there are a couple of course, today we can only do a very brief introduction, something hopefully you'll come away and say, aha, yes, there is a difference and there's an importance to learning how to do this. If we look at very young children, ages 1 to 4, our grandkids or great-grandkids, and they're learning how to walk, they are doing chi walking. Chi walking is walking conscientiously and correctly, which most of us lose over time. And we have painful knees and we have painful ankles, and then we walk even less as we're aging. I'll be 75 in September, so we walk even less. Then we have people like yourself who are young, and I know you're a runner, and you might run into an injury, and then you're not moving around for a long time. Chi walking differs from in conventional walking. When we walk, and if you watch people walking down the street, they're going to be using their legs coming forward. Usually their hips are behind, so their center of mass is behind. And remember, there's gravity. So in conventional walking, as I come out, my leg is long and stiff. We call it a pendulum. And most often people come down on their heels. They heel strike. And when they heel strike and the leg is stiff, any type of feeling or injury, if you have, wherever you have a weakness, your knees, you're going to start to feel it. Okay. And what people do when they're conventionally walking is they have a fairly long stride. So they hit the ground with a lot of pressure. Okay. And then when they want to walk faster, they create a longer stride. And when you watch them, their body parts, their hips might be moving this way, their shoulders might be moving, everything's moving around. The more body parts that are moving, the less efficient you are.
And when I start getting tired, my arms start flailing, my legs start burning out, and that just burns me out even more.
Correct. So in chi walking, we're using body sensing. It's mindful movement. It's much like if you start yoga or Tai Chi or meditation. It's a gradual process. And you're trying to connect your mind and your body. So over time, you have a well-oiled partnership. And that's one of the reasons people are safer when they're chi walking, because they're very conscious of what they're doing. You can also use Chi walking to go as fast as you want without changing your stride, because in Chi walking, your stride stays the same, but the number of steps you take increases. So you can go slowly or faster. Your arms and your legs are pendulums. And if you know anything about pendulums, the longer the pendulum, the slower you go. So in Chi walking, we're going to work with two aspects. We're going to work with gravity. And if you pull up into good posture, and you have pretty good posture, okay, and you pull up through the back of your head, okay, now your legs are going to be lighter.
I can feel that already. Just a minor adjustment, right? I feel it.
Gravity is going to work with you. So that's one thing we're looking for is alignment. And in Tai Chi, it would be a needle, your column is your needle, and the rest of you is packed in cotton. So you want as much relaxation as possible. In Tai Chi, you're going to really be, as my Tai Chi instructor says, lazy. Laziness is where we want to go. So you have a needle and cotton. So that's the one alignment, and we'll be working on that today. And your mind is in regular walking. We said you're working with propulsion from your legs. Here you're going to be working from your center of energy. I'm going to get myself in alignment, and we'll put me in alignment in a minute. I'm going to get my center. I can start my feet coming up, and we do a peel and a lift. So I'm going to show that a little bit more. And my center is going to lead me. Once my center is out, so it's different, and I'm not going from my shoulders or my waist. Remember that column? I'm simply tilting my column just a little.
That's hard for me. I find myself leaning back. I have to take your advice and lean forward more.
Well, your column, not leaning forward, because people will lean forward and then their hips are here, or their hips are here if they're leaning back. You want to have a column. You want your ears over your shoulders over your hips over your knees, and your knees over your feet. So you want a straight line here, and then when you're going to start, it's going to be a slight tilt of your column, just like that. See the difference?
I feel the difference. Yes.
This is why usually if I'm teaching people, it's 3 or 4 lessons. It could be as many lessons as you want, but generally speaking, 3 or 4 lessons or a group half-day session. Right? And it's something that I've been doing this for about 15 years, not teaching Tai Chi for myself. And I found again this year when I was training to be a teacher, I learned a lot more about myself, and I improved my techniques. So it just makes you feel good, because you get more and more benefits.
And now I'm going to hand things completely over to Carol, and she's going to better show us how to get in alignment and more specifics on the peel and lift she referenced, and take it away.
Remember I said that the big difference is in conventional walking, you're moving forward with a stiff leg, with your arms hanging down. In Chi walking, we're going to be practically rolling down the street. We're using the large muscles of the upper body. Are going to be getting there. So we're going to be using gravity to pull us up. And when we pull up into good posture, which a lot of people already know good posture, our legs are going to be lighter. So we're looking for less and less impact on our legs, which have a lot of small muscles. And we want to use the upper body working from our core, or in Tai Chi is the center of energy. So when I'm getting ready to walk in the morning, I come out, I do some body looseners, which we're not going to do today. That would be another session. And I take stock of myself, all right? I start at the bottom, and I get my feet parallel. And a lot of us have feet that go like this, and we have to kind of reteach them. Now you notice I'm kind of knock-kneed. I have a genetic anomaly. Doesn't stop me from doing this. Some of you will be able to do it even better. Okay, so I'll take my leg from the top, and set it to be parallel. And over time, that mind-body connection, when I'm doing these focuses, my mind reconnects. So if my foot's like this, it goes like this. If I'm sunk like this, my body's going to go up. So in the morning, I come out. I love to come out in the morning when there's not a lot of traffic, not a lot of people. And I'll get out in the street. I want the weight to be even over my feet. Little toe, big toe to the heel. All right. Then I want my ankles to be over my feet. I want my knees to be over my ankles. I want my hips to be over my knees. So I start down here, bottom, and then I'm going to come up and do that, pull myself up. Now, I can pull myself up, imaginary. I can actually take my neck and just pull myself up, and I'll have a slight tuck of the chin. Not this, right? Not this, but that good posture, that alignment, right? So now I'm in alignment, and I'm going to pull up. I'm going to do my middle. So I'm going to just come up like this. It's a very little contraction. If I stand like this, and I just feel like I'm zipping my pants, that's it. That's engaging my core. Now I have to do something with my feet. Okay. I check mentally. I go, okay, I did my feet. I pulled up. Do I have a nice straight column? I want my shoulders over my hips, not like this, not like this. So I do another check. I'm engaged. Okay, I'm in alignment. As you practice this, it becomes something that mentally you can do in a matter of seconds. So I'm in alignment. Now I'm going to lift my feet. Okay. Remember we said that people walk like this and they come down often, they come on their heels. When I'm lifting in chi walking, my knee's going to lift. But remember, I'm really working from here. So my knee doesn't come up a lot. It just comes up slightly. And as my knee comes up, it peels up my heel. And I peel into the forefront of my foot. I don't come up any higher. Bend from the waist, not a bend from the shoulders, not a bend from the head, but my column, which is like a needle in Tai Chi. Your column is a needle, like steel, in cotton. We're looking for relaxation, which is going to help us with any type of injuries, preventing injuries. Okay. So I take my chi. Now I'm going to step my feet, and I want everything going in the same direction because I'm working with postural alignment and I'm working with directional alignment. And gravity is going to pull me forward. When I'm walking like this, I'm braking, and I'm not moving with gravity. I'm moving. So every time I stop like this, I'm going against gravity. So I want to go with gravity. So I get myself aligned. Take seconds. Okay, here's my dantian. I'm going to start my feet moving, heel and lift, heel and lift. Okay, and I'm going to get my center of energy out front, and I start moving.
Thank you for listening to Honestly Aging by Friends Life Care VigR, a unique program focused on aging with vitality, independence, growth, and resilience. You can find links and show notes from this episode on our website at friendslifecare.org/podcast. Thank you to Carol Bilek for joining us today. You can learn more about Carol and Chi Walking by visiting chiliving.com. If you like our show, please rate, review, subscribe, and join us next time. To learn more about aging with vitality, independence, growth, and resilience, subscribe to our blog at friendslifecare.org/blog.